Hello, everyone. I want to talk about a subject that I really haven't touched on much that I just wanted to talk about a little bit. First of all, I want you to check out Harsh Reality. He has a video saying, did Bryan Kohberger really target Madison or something like that? Check that video out. He brings up a lot of good, intelligent points. And what I like about him is that he looks at every angle and he brings up really good, intelligent points that, sometimes I hear from other people, but sometimes he takes things, a step forward, a step further. So I really like his channel. But I want to talk about Bryan Kohberger being framed. I really haven't talked about this because up until recently, when some more things have came out, I didn't consider this much. But it's been in the back of my mind, so I want to talk about it a little bit. Let me first talk about Bryan's personality from what we know from people that know him, pictures of him with other people, and just how people said he interacted with them in general. Bryan Kohberger had some major OCD from his actions and from what people have said about him. People with OCD usually have a set of strict habits. And like him, he was a night owl. He drove around at night. He exercised at night. He was a neat freak and all that. That was his strict, rigid habit. And I will talk about this as a mental health professional for many years, as well as a person with bipolar. So I know what I'm talking about. In pictures, he always looked like he wasn't having as much fun as everyone else. There were a couple where he was like sticking his tongue out and all that, but he always looked reserved in his pictures. So he might have had another mental illness as well. He could have been on the autistic spectrum, very mild, and usually people with autism can be extremely intelligent. So he might have had a little bit of autism going on. We don't know. I'm not diagnosing him. But when he was with people, it was like he wasn't there. He was very reserved. And people said that, if he went to a party or whatever, he wasn't just out there being just boisterous and all that. He was reserved. And he just doesn't fit the profile of someone that would kill a bunch of people in a passionate rage. He seems like he would be skittish. That's just not the type of person he would do. Now, I know you say, well, certain killers, they're quiet and all that. But you can, from their background, you can always tell they seem like that type of person that would do something. I know people always say you can't go by looks, this, that, and the other. But we've always found out people had behaviors that fit what they did. And Bryan just doesn't have behaviors that fit him killing people out of passion. Now, if he is the killer, I think it would be because of a deeper reason. And I go back to what he was pursuing. He came from a humble background. He was able to work his way up and go to college, better himself, And now he was pursuing higher education. You have to be intelligent to do what he did. You know, to be recommended, one of the only two people recommended ever by that teacher. And he was going places. Now, I know in the past, other people that killed people, you know, they had good jobs, good careers, whatever. But I just can't see him sacrificing what he was building. He wasn't there yet. He wasn't finished. Sacrificing all that, knowing he would get the death penalty, just to do something like this to ruin the rest of his life. It doesn't fit. We know more so now, especially with cameras and people filming stuff, that there are a lot of corrupt police. And we know that. We've seen tons of examples. We know there's a lot of racist police. When I was working at the hospital, security guards, they wanted to go on to become police officers. And they all said that they are trained to be racist. They are trained to be racist. I even knew one of the people, and I hated him after this. He said he was out training, and there was a pregnant woman, and they were handling her very rough, and he was just laughing about it. Such a piece of shit. But they said, and it was 3 of them, that they are trained to treat people like shit. So if you're in that type of culture and you think you have power now, you know, whatever. Now, the police officers that they were investigating in the case that people have brought up about them harassing the boys for putting stickers around, you know, if that's the only thing they did, that's trivial, because the boys should not have been trying to encourage people to do the opposite of what the officials said to do for the pandemic. If you are supposed to wear a mask, you should be wearing the mask. That's why we still have all these people dying, because there's too many dumb fucks that won't get vaccinated so that we can eradicate this. So, you know, they might have took that a little bit too far with holding them, but they were in their right to enforce the law, not to be putting stickers and stuff around, trying to discourage people from doing the right thing, wearing a fucking mask during a pandemic. So, like I said, if that's the only thing against these officers, then, you know, how are we to say that they actually planted stuff? But this case got so big, it got worldwide attention, and police kept changing their stories, and they didn't have a clue what was going on. And I guess they were under a lot of pressure to get this solved, especially since, you know, the university, that affects the university's money, it affects the university attendance, therefore it affects the money that that area is getting. So they were under lots of pressure to get it done. The families were beating them up, saying they're incompetent, they're not doing anything. So they had the pressure of that. So in that case, you can see where possibly they might have gone as far as planting evidence. Don't get it twisted and think this never happens. This shit happens all the time. I'm not saying they did, but with all that fucking pressure, who knows? Bryan came under their radar when a person at the apartment complex that he was living just happened on their own to be searching for the Hyundai Elantras. So that's how Bryan got on the radar. They want to close this case. They don't want the pressure. They've got a guy on the radar now that lives close to where it happened. They start investigating him, and they see that he's been in the area, but they don't have any other evidence at this point. So they want to close the case. They focus on Bryan now. They're not focusing on anyone else hardly but him. Now, suddenly you have these two officers that are investigating the crime scene saying the bodies or the sheath were in two different positions. I think they contradicted each other. And they said the words possibly or maybe or something with the positions of the body. I know they both said two different things. And since he was on the radar now, we already know they went through the trash and everything. It is highly possible they could have planted Bryan's DNA on the sheath. Why would it be such a microscopic amount of DNA that their lab couldn't see anything at first, and they had to take it to another lab? It was that microscopic. They gave some insane number of how low it was. That seems like something that was planted. Now, if it was just that and nothing else, then we could say, oh, you're just full of shit. You're just saying it was planted. But that scene was so freaking bloody. It is impossible that the person that did it did not have any traces anywhere else. He had no traces on his clothes, no traces in the car, no traces in his apartment, no traces in his family's house. You know, the odds of that are slim to none. Slim to none. The best of the best serial killers have had some type of DNA. And I mean the best that have gotten away with it for years. He had no other evidence that would connect him. They did, I think, trace his phone. Yeah. Even the car situation is suspect because they were saying it was a gray Elantra. And they had different years. And there's tons of freaking gray and white Elantras in that area. Kopaka had an Elantra. And I still think there is something involving him. I still do. But it had that teeny bit of microscopic DNA that could have easily been planted. They had the scapegoat. They had his phone records now saying he was in the area. He drove around at night. They could say, okay, this is the guy, we're focusing on him. They didn't focus on any of the other DNA that they found. They never checked the ladder for DNA. It's like they just disregard every other suspect. There were neighbors in the area said that they saw two other guys frantically washing their car down that next day. Now, I don't know if they were lying or not, but if that was the case, they should have been looking for them. So anyway, Bryan now is a good suspect in their eyes. He lives close to the crime scene. He has an Elantra, and he goes out around at night. So they're like, plant the DNA, get this guy. We will be seen as being heroic. We solved the case over. You know, we can work on the reputation of the college and security and all that crap. Everybody will be happy. And that's a possibility. Like I said, evidence has been planted against people as long as there's been a law system. I gotta say, I can't say it happened in this case, but in this case, with such a lack of evidence, it could have easily happened. Easily. And I've also said before, which I don't hear people talking about, Gun and weapon and knife enthusiasts are hardcore enthusiasts. They're collectors. They will gift weapons. They will trade weapons. They will sell weapons. Like I said before, go to a gun show. See how gung-ho those people are. People have private parties, conventions, anything. He could have gifted that knife, sold it, or traded it. And his DNA could have been on that for that. That's a small little area. He probably knew a Kopaka. He was in pictures with another person that was in the military. You know, it easily could be that he was into that because he had guns and knives, so he was an enthusiast. So the DNA being on that sheath, if you don't use your brain and you don't have intelligence, you will instantly say, oh, he's guilty because of that. But if you have intelligence and you think of all possibilities, you can think that you could have traded it, sold it, gifted, or evidence could have been planted. We know they went through the trash. He could have been out at a cafe drinking, took some DNA, whatever. So don't rule out things just because you think that anything out of the norm is a conspiracy. As we all know, many unbelievable conspiracies have been found to be freaking true. And as we know, there has been more and more crooked, dirty, devil cops out here. Now, don't get it twisted. We need police officers, and they risk their lives. Because when I was a nurse, I know the shit they went through to deal with just the psychiatric patients. So don't get it twisted. They do a good job. But we are finding out there's a lot of bad apples out there. And with a case that's worldwide, they were getting constant shit. It is a possibility, I'm just saying a possibility, that someone could have planted the DNA on that sheath. You know, they see him as like a weird guy, all that, you know. Hey, we got the guy. They didn't even say anything about checking out whoever DNA, other DNA they found. The bloody footprint, we haven't heard nothing about that. They didn't check out the ladder that was near the window. I mean, so much shit was dropped. So much incompetence. So I'm just saying, don't be one of these idiots that automatically assume a person is 100% guilty or a person is 100% innocent. Use your brain and look at all possibilities. You should not be watching true crime shows and get into the cases if you are so stupid that you don't actually do research. And I see some channels, and I've said it many times, I don't even watch these channels anymore because they're saying, oh, he's definitely guilty. You can't victim shame by talking about the two living roommates. If your opinion is not with mine, then you're wrong, and we're going to kick you out of our channel from being able to watch it, block you. You know, dumb shit like that. And then one person I really liked just constantly say he's 100% guilty. You know, you don't know that shit. You can't say a person's 100% guilty or 100% innocent when you have no clue. You've got to have an open mind no matter what you think, no matter how horrendous the crime is. You've always got to keep an open mind. Look at all the people that have been convicted wrongly, that there looked like so much evidence against them, and they had shit to do with it. The law is not foolproof. You have humans, and you have dumb humans, and you have prejudiced humans. And sometimes they just want to use a scapegoat to quickly close a case, and they don't give a shit if the person's innocent or not. So when you're looking at these cases, use your mind and wait till you get more information. A person is innocent until proven guilty. not guilty until proven innocent, and not guilty until proven guilty. So that's it, guys. There's some more stuff I can go into, but this is already a long video. But I'm just saying, don't leave out the possibility that evidence could have been planted. We don't know. And I'm not saying Bryan is innocent, but I do believe if he is guilty, there's just something that's telling me he wasn't the only one. It's just too many factors in this case that go against it just being someone. And like I said, it was a party house. This night of partying, when there's always people there on a party night, and even strangers there, this particular night, no one else was there. It could have been someone that they knew that was already in the house. So think of every possibility. Don't just think one way and that there's only one thing that could have happened. So that's it, guys. If you like a person that thinks intelligently, looks at all possibilities, speaks their mind, please hit that like and subscribe button. Check out my past videos. Check out my upcoming videos. I always tell the truth. I'm honest. I say shit whether you want to hear it or not. I say stuff that people are too scared to say. I'm just in your face telling you the truth. So hit that like and subscribe button, and I hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are.